8 minutes. That's how long Brianna Lafferty's heart stopped beating. 8 minutes, clinically dead. And yet, she was aware. She saw her body lying on the operating table. She saw the doctors moving around her. She saw the machines, the lights, the room, but not the way we see things here. Because in that place, time didn't exist. There was no before, no after, no sequence. Only now. Not a stretched moment. Not a frozen one. But a moment that kept rendering itself again and again, while she hovered somewhere between the frames. And that's when the question appears. What if time isn't moving at all? Not flowing, not slowing, not speeding up? What if time is just refreshing, like a screen reloading reality frame by frame, and you mistake that flicker for motion? Because think about it. You've never actually felt time passing. You've only felt moments replacing each other. One thought, gone, one sensation, overwritten, one version of you replaced by the next, and yet we call this time. But what if time isn't something you move through? What if it's something that moves through you? A user interface, a rendering layer, a system that lets consciousness navigate something far deeper than seconds or years. What if the past isn't behind you and the future isn't ahead of you? What if both already exist and what you call now is simply the point where awareness loads the next frame? Because if Brianna's experience tells us anything, it's this. Time may not pass at all. It may only appear to. And if that's true, then what happens when the rendering stops? You don't live inside time. You've been taught this since childhood, that you're a passenger on some cosmic train, moving from birth toward death, watching scenery blur past the window. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is this. You're sitting still, and the scenery is being drawn around you. Frame by frame by frame. The movement you feel, that's not you traveling. That's the refresh rate of your perception. Think about a computer screen. 60 frames per second. Each one a complete image. Between them, nothing. A gap, a void. A moment where the display goes dark, updates, and reappears. But your eye never catches the gap. Your brain stitches the frames together, and you see motion, seamless, continuous, alive. Now apply that to your life. Every moment you experience, your coffee cup touching your lips, your finger scrolling, your breath expanding your chest, is a discrete frame, a snapshot, and between each snapshot, nothing. A recalculation, a reloading, a brief cessation of existence while the next configuration assembles itself. But you don't notice, because noticing would require you to be present in the gap, and in the gap, you don't exist yet. This is where it gets strange. You assume you're continuous, that the you watching this video is the same you who was here a minute ago. But what if that's wrong? What if continuity is just good caching? Memory creating the illusion of coherence across discrete instantiations of selfhood. Donald Hoffman, the cognitive scientist, puts it like this. The interface is not the reality. When you open a file on your desktop, you see an icon. You click it. The file opens. But the icon isn't the file. The icon is a simplified representation, a symbol your system uses so you don't have to interact with raw voltage fluctuations and binary code. The desktop is an interface. It's functional, it's useful, but it's not what's actually there. Time works the same way. You experience yesterday and tomorrow as real places. You treat memory like a storage unit you can visit. You imagine the future as an empty room waiting to be filled. But those aren't places. They're icons, Interface elements your consciousness uses to navigate something far more complex, something that doesn't have sequence, doesn't have direction, doesn't have flow. What's actually there? That's the question nobody wants to ask, because the answer destabilizes everything. Let's talk about what's happening right now, not philosophically, mechanically. Your brain receives input. Light hits your retina. Pressure touches your skin. Molecules trigger receptors in your nose. All of this happens at slightly different speeds. Light arrives faster than sound. Touch signals travel slower than visual data. Your neurons fire at varying rates depending on their length and thickness. And yet you experience it all. Now. Not scattered, not delayed, not fragmented. One unified moment. How? Your brain synchronizes the input. It waits for the slowest signal to arrive. Then it packages everything together and presents it to you as the present. But here's what that means. What you call now is actually already past. By the time you experience it, it's already over. You're always living in a reconstruction, a rendered frame of something that happened a fraction of a second ago. Your entire experience of reality is a highlight reel, not live, always delayed, always edited, and you never notice. Because the delay is consistent, the lag is uniform, so it feels immediate. This is how the interface works. It convinces you that you're experiencing reality directly, but you're not. You're experiencing a simulation, not a copy of reality, not a fake, a functional translation, like subtitles at the bottom of a foreign film. The subtitles aren't the dialogue, but they let you follow the story. Time is the subtitle. But wait, there's something else. You know that feeling when you're driving? When you suddenly realize you don't remember the last 3 miles? You were conscious, eyes open, hands on the wheel. But the experience vanished. Or when you're talking to someone, and mid-sentence you lose the thread completely. Not because you forgot, because the recording stopped. There was no you there to encode it. Neurologists call these micro-sleep events, tiny gaps where the brain briefly shuts down processing. But here's what they don't say. What if those aren't malfunctions? What if those are glimpses of the truth? Moments when the rendering skips, when the refresh cycle stutters, when you fall through the gap between frames. There are documented cases. Commercial pilots experiencing micro-sleep episodes, brief lapses, 1 to 15 seconds, no loss of consciousness, no medical event, just blank. Over 75% of pilots report experiencing this. They'd be at one altitude, then suddenly at another. Controls in a different position, no memory of the transition. The frames weren't processed, they were dropped. And here's the disturbing part. The plane still flew, the body still operated, the systems still ran, just nobody was home. Or rather, nobody was being rendered. Because maybe consciousness isn't what's operating the system. Maybe consciousness is just the display that makes the operation visible to itself. And when the display shuts off, the operation continues. Just unseen, unwitnessed, unrendered. Think about what this means. If experience can be skipped, if entire chunks of your life can happen without you being there, then what are you actually experiencing? Not the totality of your existence, just the highlighted sections, the rendered frames, while vast stretches of operation happen in the dark. And you never notice, because there's no you there to notice the absence. Memory only forms when the rendering is active. So the gaps don't exist in your recollection. Your life story is full of holes, and you read it as continuous. Now apply this to death. What if death isn't the end of operation? What if it's just permanent frame drop? The system continues, the processes run, but the rendering layer, the part that creates you as an experience, goes dark. Not cessation, discontinuation of display, and from inside the interface, that looks like ending. But from outside, there is no outside. There is no inside. There's just process, without witness, without subject, without the need for either. Now let's go deeper. Think about memory. When you remember something, you don't retrieve it. You reconstruct it. Elizabeth Loftus proved this decades ago with her experiments on false memories. You can implant memories that never happened. You can alter existing ones without the person noticing. You can make someone remember being lost in a mall as a child when they never were. Why? Because memory isn't playback. It's rendering. Every time you recall something, your brain rebuilds it, uses fragments, fills in gaps, adds details from other memories, adjusts the emotional tone based on your current state, and you experience it as truth, as fact, as what happened. But it's not what happened. It's the latest version of what happened. Version 47, or 203, or 1894. Each time you remember, you overwrite the previous version. And the original? It's gone. It was never stored in the first place. What you think of as the past is actually a present tense process, a file that only exists when you open it. And every time you open it, it's slightly different. So ask yourself, if the past changes every time you access it, was there ever a stable past at all? Or just an ongoing reconstruction you mistake for history? This is the crux. The reason time feels real, the reason it feels like you're moving through it, is because you're confusing the interface with the substrate. You're confusing the map with the territory. But here's what happens when you see through it. When you realize that time isn't a river carrying you forward, but a screen updating around you. Everything inverts. You're not in time. Time is in you. You're not moving through moments. Moments are being generated by your act of observation. The physicist John Wheeler called it participatory reality. The idea that observation doesn't just reveal what's there. Observation brings it into definition. Before you look, the system exists in potential. When you look, it collapses into specificity, and the act of looking is what you call now. The moment when potential crystallizes into experience, and then dissolves again, and crystallizes again, and dissolves 60 times per second. Or maybe faster, maybe slower. The frequency doesn't matter. What matters is this. You're not watching a movie. You're the projector. So what does this mean? If time is just a rendering process, if now is just the frame currently loading, if past and future are just interface metaphors, then what are you? Not the character on the screen. That's just another rendered element. Your body, your thoughts, your sense of identity, all of it part of the display. So who's watching? Not your brain. Your brain is part of the simulation. Not your thoughts. Thoughts are content being rendered. Then what? This is where language fails, because the thing observing isn't a thing. It's not located. It's not temporal. It's not even separate from what it's observing. Thomas Metzinger calls it the ego tunnel. The sense of being a self, a continuous I moving through time, is just another interface, a necessary fiction. Because without it, You couldn't navigate the display. You need a point of reference, a focal point, a sense of here and not here. Otherwise, experience collapses into undifferentiated potential. So the system generates a self, an avatar, a character you believe you are. And from that character's perspective, time flows, change happens, death approaches. But from outside the interface, there's no flow, no change, no death. Because those concepts only exist within the display logic. Here's the vertigo. You can't step outside the interface while using it. You can't see the gap between frames while the frames are rendering. It's like trying to see your own eyes without a mirror. The instrument of observation can't observe itself operating. So you're trapped, not in time, but in the experience of needing time to exist. Because without time, there's no sequence. Without sequence, there's no story. Without a story, there's no you. And that's the terror. Not death, but the recognition that you never existed the way you thought you did. You're not a person having experiences. You're the experience personifying itself. A rendering pretending to be the rendered. And maybe that's what happened to Brianna. Maybe she didn't go anywhere at all. Maybe there was no tunnel, no passage, no crossing from one side to another. Maybe the system simply paused. For 8 minutes, the rendering stopped trying to convince itself that it was a someone. No timeline to maintain, no continuity to preserve, no identity to simulate. Just awareness, without the story wrapped around it. Not floating, not traveling, not observing from above. Just the raw condition of being, before it collapses into a point of view. And when the heart restarted, when the signal returned, when the body rebooted its patterns, the interface came back online. The world reassembled itself. Time resumed its rhythm. The narrative resumed its momentum. And the character named Brianna reappeared. But something had shifted. Because for a moment, however brief, the system had failed to convince itself that the story was all there was. She didn't go anywhere. She simply stopped being rendered. And maybe that's the part we're not supposed to remember. Not because it's forbidden, but because remembering it would dissolve the very framework that allows experience to function at all. Because if you truly saw what exists when the rendering stops, you wouldn't be able to live inside the rendering anymore. You couldn't believe in time the same way, or identity, or continuity, or even death. You would see that what you call ending is just the system no longer needing to show you the picture. And maybe that's why the mind protects itself, why the memory collapses, why the gap is erased, why the experience returns, wrapped in metaphor and feeling instead of clarity. Because clarity would be too destabilizing, so the system gives you a story instead, a near-death experience, a vision, a moment beyond, something symbolic enough to carry the truth without revealing it outright. And the truth is this: you were never moving through time. Time was moving through you. You were never the one inside the frame. You were the condition that allowed frames to appear at all. And when the rendering finally stops, not metaphorically, not mystically, but mechanically, there won't be darkness. There won't be silence. There won't even be nothing. There will simply be no need for something. No need for a story. No need for a self. Just the end of the illusion that there was ever a frame to begin with. And in that sense, nothing is lost. Because nothing was ever separate enough to disappear.